Listen. Get it rolling. This old man, he don't run. He play take that 100-round drum.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody? You are tuned into another episode of Fight Night Chronicles. This is episode 5, and you see it. This is what we're talking about today. Thunder meets lightning. Julio César Chávez versus Meldrick Taylor 1. This fight right here is very memorable fight right here. A lot of people remember this fight for the outcome. A lot of people remember this fight because it was a controversial outcome. Mr. Neutral, my partner in crime here on this show, Fight Night Chronicles. How you doing, the class you win?
Very well, thank you, mate. A great weekend of boxing and another episode of Fight Night Chronicles coming live and at you guys. As my partner Trill Dollar Bill correctly says, lightning meets, thunder in this clash in 1990, and it was Valentine's Day weekend where this super lightweight unification bout was to take place. Don King promotion once again, and just 1 month after Buster Douglas had knocked out Mike Tyson, Don King was desperate that his WBC champion Julio Chavez would prevail in this fight, and ironically that's what happened. But lots to talk about here, Trill, with this fight. The coming in undefeated, the power, pressure, and the durability of Chavez. And he was already a multi-division champion and respected as one of the pound-for-pound champions as well at that time. He had a humongous record, 68-0, 56 knockouts. A lot of that was disputed in his early years, such was the lack of availability of, verified results and that. But it was widely accepted, the 3 fights before, in defeating Sammy Fuentes and Alberto Cortez, who was an undefeated South American champion at the time, that Julio Chavez was the real deal. Meldrick Taylor, Trill, I'll pass that back to you and let you talk a little bit about him.
We was talking a little bit. I'm gonna be honest, me and you was talking a little bit earlier before we went live, and we was talking about this fight, and this fight was memorable to me because at this time I was young. I was very young, and in my household was a lot of abuse. And I remember being able to catch this fight and what this fight meant. Everybody loved Chavez. I'm a huge Chavez fan to this day. But on this day, this moment, I happen to be rooting for the underdog. And the way he fought in that fight kind of gave me a certain type of sense of pride, in the sense that things is going to be all right. And seeing that he can fight back against this monster, even though he wasn't able to get the victory. This brings back a lot of memories of how I felt, because in my life, there's only 2 loves that I've always had, and they happen to be boxing and music. No matter what was going on in my life, I can always count on those 2 things. So let me just give you a quick summary, everybody, on how I felt about this fight. Billed as thunder and lightning, right? Or thunder meets lightning. Julio César Chávez, 68 wins, 0 losses with 55 KOs. Meldrick Taylor, 23 wins, 0 losses with 1 draw and 13 KOs. To me, Taylor outskilled Chavez the whole fight, but he didn't have the power to keep him off. Chavez was 68-0, and he could take a punch. But Taylor dominated Chavez with his speed and combinations. He was bleeding out his mouth since the 2nd round, but was still putting on a masterful performance. At the end of the 10th round, Chavez started to come on, and the power punches to the head started to take its toll on Taylor. You can see that Taylor was fading, but he was showing great heart, fighting the dangerous Chavez in the pocket. Coming into the 12th round, Chavez needed a knockout to win. Instead of Taylor taking the 12th round off and sitting on his lead, Taylor put himself in danger, trying to go punch for punch with the great Julio César Chávez, and he got dropped 15 seconds in the last round. Even though he beat the count and there was 2 seconds left in the round, referee Richard Steele stopped the fight. Richard Steele claims he was not looking at the clock, how many seconds was left in the fight. He was looking in the eyes of the fighter, and the fighter didn't respond, so he called the fight. It's a shame that Taylor didn't get the victory because his life wasn't the same after this loss, inside and outside the ring. Even though he became champion again a year later when he moved up in weight to capture the WBA welterweight championship, he was never able to capture the glory he would have if he was able to continue and get the win over Chavez. Many people say he was cheated, but all I know is he lost something in the ring that night. Sure, they had a rematch 4 years later, but Taylor was a shell of his old self, getting stopped in the 8th round. Julio César Chávez went on to become a Hall of Famer and the greatest Mexican boxer ever, while many fight fans have forgotten about Meldrick Taylor, the man who has brain damage, who put on a perfect boxing match on March 17th, 1990, but came up short due to his own big heart. He should be celebrated for his bravery, but he is forgotten by many of boxing fans now. That's my summary of what I thought happened in that fight, Mr. Neutral. What do you think?
Absolutely correct what you said. You know, Chavez, the pound for pound top 5 at the time, considered one of the hardest punchers in the game at his weight. And he, you know, obviously 55 knockouts from 68 wins was testament to that. And he brought a real danger to Meldrick Taylor. But Meldrick Taylor, 17 years of age, was an Olympic champion. And if you were to equate that to today's boxing, you'd be talking about a Floyd Mayweather. He was 24-0-1. The one draw, you know, he had taken his eye off the ball in that fight. Which, you know, ordinarily he should have won, but he didn't. But he went on to win the IBF belt against, you know, we've all heard his name, Buddy McGutt, knocked him out, and took that belt. And this was going to be his 3rd defense against Chavez, having defended it twice already. And although he was not a favourite to win this, Chavez was the favourite. You wouldn't have thought it boxing the first 9 rounds. Meldrick Taylor didn't lose a round. He completely outboxed Chavez. It was a work of art. And Chavez was still dangerous the whole way through, still hitting him with shots. And as we go into the fight in a wee bit, you'll notice that it was the championship rounds that was the difference in winning and losing. As Trill quite rightly said, from the 10th round, I feel he should have done it from the 10th, never mind the 12th. He should have boxed, and boxed only like he had one in the first 3 rounds. If he finished the fight in the way he started, this would have never been an issue. But you quite rightly said it. He started to engage. And that was his mistake. And we'll get to that engagement. And I think it started I started seeing it in round 8 and 9. But round 10
is when he got,
he started engaging. That was the difference. And we'll talk about afterwards the impact of that fight.
Yeah, definitely. And there's nothing enough to do it but to dive right into the fight. I want to thank everyone for chopping up with us. You got my brother Trey sitting there. You know, he got his popcorn ready. I got my popcorn ready too. As you can see, I got my popcorn ready too.
Got my drink.
Chavez, you know what I'm saying? And Taylor, I'm ready. We're locked in. This is gonna be one of those ones, man. This is one that's really dear to my heart. So let's just ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Doing exactly what his corner won't want him to do. Right hand lead by Chávez. Taylor flurries in return.
That was a terrific round for Taylor.
We've seen Chávez get off to this kind of start.
Frenetic start.
Less talented fighters than Meldrick Taylor, though. He started slowly against Sammy Fuentes here in November. The expectation of Taylor's camp is that he can get away with low blows to the side of Chávez's body. They trade a right and a left, and Taylor did more damage with his left hook.
Taylor is bleeding in the mouth.
Yep, it's dripping out between his mouth guard. Good right hand inside by Chávez. We've been told that Taylor had that cut inside his mouth during training. So it could be that an old
That's
cut
what I was
has been
going to point
reopened here.
out. That cut was old.
You see the right hand of Taylor. He's dropping it.
Yep, and Chávez is throwing over the top of Taylor now, beginning to land with more consistency. Right hand leads, doing the damage for Chávez now. A solid left inside.
Didn't give quite the reflection of that round. Taylor still won that round.
Taylor lands a vicious right hand.
This is where Taylor starts to really make.
And take away,
starts
taking away, making angle, keeping the distance.
In that combination, he did what you were talking about before. He threw 3 or 4 punches and then he got out of there.
He's out punching him.
That's true.
He's doing more than one punch at
fight for Taylor. Is get in and get back out.
In and out.
Quicker in the exchanges, counter punching quicker.
Chávez still pouring in, coming straight forward against Taylor.
Chávez hit him 1 time, he hit him 5.
A solid right hand at the bell for Julio César Chávez, but it was another round in which Meldrick Taylor
The punch starts were totally in Meldrick Taylor's favour at this point.
Taylor. Still trading 4 blows to 1 for Chávez. Chávez tries the left inside. Taylor comes right back.
4 blows to 1 for Chávez.
As long as he's moving, Jim, he won this fight in fine fashion.
Now get him. Solid left hand by Taylor, and he moves back out. The promotion for the bout, Ray, called it Thunder meets Lightning. And there was a good straight left by Chávez that snapped Taylor's head back. In that characterization, Chávez would be Thunder and Taylor Lightning. But there are a lot of people who think that Julio is not a powerful puncher up here at 140 pounds. He's been knocking people out, but not down.
It's always been an accumulation of punches.
That's what he's going to have to hope to be able to do here against a Meldrick Taylor who in the first 4 rounds has gotten off to a fast start and would appear to have built an early lead on the scorecards against the man who is 66-0 coming in. Well, Ray Leonard, would you say a near-perfect performance so far from Meldrick Taylor?
It's a very good performance by Meldrick Taylor. He's been doing what he needs to do. Boxing, just boxing, using speed.
Right hand lead by Chávez lands. Taylor comes back with an uppercut.
Chávez is looking for Meldrick Taylor's head. That's not an easy target.
Don't hold him, to keep Chávez occupied. The dilemma for Chávez, at least partially, is that it's hard to play offense when you're playing defense every second.
The first thing that Chávez wants to do is block the shot. Again, Jim, this kind of fight, this inside fight, it wears the fighter down.
Is it possible, Ray, that he's getting a little tired to stay outside and that he's trying to get rest in there?
It's better for him to be on the outside, Larry, to get that breather.
And within the last 30 seconds, Chávez has landed 3 solid left hooks inside. Taylor comes back with a bristling uppercut. And another flurry for Meldrick Taylor. But there may have been a subtle trend, Larry, in the last minute of round 5.
Yeah, there we go right there. That was 1 through 5 right there. My assessment of the first 5 rounds is Meldrick Taylor is boxing beautiful. He's boxing beautiful. He's in and out. He's throwing combinations. He's not relying on one shot at a time. But I also noticed what Chavez is doing. You know, he's not throwing a lot, but he is loading up on shots. And when he does load on shots, you can hear him. You can hear them thudding shots hitting, you know, and landing on Meldrick Taylor. What's your assessment of the first 5 rounds?
Yeah, rather much the same as you there. First 4 rounds, you know, he was boxing really well, in and out, faster combinations, quicker to the punch, and making Chavez look slow. I mean, Chavez was a notoriously slow starter anyway. And what was, you know, inevitable was round 5. And as Larry Merchant alluded to, was Meldrick starting to tire, because he started to go toe-to-toe, body to body. You could see the way Chavez was moving his head up and down, trying to load up on his shots to the body. He was working the body, starting to break down. That's where Chavez done a lot of his core work in his fights, was a softening up of the body. And then once his victim was, you know, sufficiently softened up, then go for the kill. But Meldrick Taylor was delaying that. But round 5, that's when I started to see Chavez starting to come back into it a wee bit, but still not enough to take the round.
Yeah, still was losing the round. He was making his mark. He was still losing the round.
There may have been a subtle trend, Larry, in the last minute of round 5.
He was losing the face of Meldrick Taylor.
He can get that weapon going. It's the one which would be most likely to bring him back. Taylor still exchanging to the body effectively. They trade punches inside, and Meldrick seemed to wobble for just a second. Chavez is not getting the kind of leverage he's used to getting against fighters when he can back them up against the ropes. Right hand lead solid on the face of Chavez.
He started to create space between him and Chavez once again.
This is a masterful fight with Meldrick Taylor.
It is from this point on that he has done his most damage in the past. But tonight, Chavez, who normally lands upward of 50% of his punches, is down in the 30s. So
this is a beautiful round, to be fair.
Solid left hand by Meldrick Taylor, and Chavez showed you there his incredible ability to take a punch.
You watch the life in the legs of Meldrick Taylor. Still a lot of bounce.
And that gets back to the fact, Ray, that Chavez has not done damage to the body like he usually does.
He hurt Chavez just then. Chavez buckled.
Chavez is damaged by the first minute of this round, in which Taylor has landed at least 3 solid left hands. Just to clarify, the rest of my prediction was that Chavez would turn it around in the second half of the fight and score a TKO in about the 11th. Like I say, I don't know if I have much confidence in that right now. Taylor still blistering Chavez inside.
Meldrick Taylor's getting his entire body behind his punches. He's not really known to be a big puncher, but here he's getting a lot of leverage behind the left hook of his.
Solid left hook inside by Taylor. Chavez continues to try to come back with the left to the body. But he is not hurting Taylor.
Taylor has controlled this entire fight, so what he needs to do is maintain that concentration and keep fighting this fight here.
Chavez landed a left. Taylor flurries furiously in return.
He's more
it's a vicious round this.
And Chavez does not fight this.
They still have over a minute to go. That was a big right hand there from Chavez.
Him off, that he doesn't want to pay the price.
A right and a left by Chavez, and more blood comes out of Taylor's mouth. Taylor begins to flurry with the left again. This
He's
is
fighting like a demon, Taylor,
a young
here.
fighter at the very top of his game against one of the greatest.
23 years of age.
20 years.
He is far more poised than I was from my.
And Chavez is only 27 in his prime.
A lot of concentration here.
That's why even Sugar Ray Leonard said he's fighting way more fast than he did at that age.
Trying to lift Chavez up.
Now there's something you never saw. Meldrick Taylor motioning Chavez to come to him.
As if to say, come here, you're
Good
an
run.
easy target for me. Yeah.
No, I'm here.
That was a great round for Meldrick there.
Again,
Yeah.
and then I was praising Meldrick Taylor for the beautiful boxing he did, but I gotta give it up for the chin of Julio César Chávez. He got hit with everything but the kitchen sink. When I say Meldrick Taylor was getting off, he was getting off with everything. And you know, Chavez was able to take it. So kudos to Chavez and that chin. You know what I'm saying? Because he definitely had a chin, and he definitely had the heart to walk through all that. He was trying to walk through all that to land his shot.
Yeah. But the thing is, he was still engaging, you know, at this point. And when I watched this, you know, the first time, you wanted, you know, I was a true underdog, man. I always have been, always will be. I'm there for the underdog. And Meldrick Taylor, he just sensed that he could still lose it to this dangerous puncher. It's a cumulative hard puncher over a distance, and I felt he had to get him out of there. Even if it still went to, you know, got to round 8, 9, and 10, I still felt he had to get him out of there to get the result. Because if this man, in the way that I was watching Chavez and that chin of his, and the way he's just relentlessly coming forward, and we're looking there, and we know we've still got 6 rounds to go. You're starting to think, I hope he's got the stamina, or just hope he's got the stamina, because, you know, he could do no wrong at that point. But those punches were starting to hurt.
Definitely was. We're going to continue with the fight. Shout out to everybody that's locked in with me and Mr. Nuccia right now for this episode of Fight Night Chronicles, Chavez versus Taylor.
Saying, for the love of God, they know how desperate the situation is. Taylor lands a right-hand lead to start the round off.
Taylor went straight for Chavez.
It's incumbent on Taylor not to give Chavez an unnecessary chance to get back into this. Look at the speed of Meldrick Taylor's flurry. Reminiscent of a young Ray Leonard.
I love those combinations, Jim. He gets them in. It's so beautiful. He puts them together very well.
And one thing those combinations do, it takes the
You can see
crowd
Taylor
out of the
starting to
fight
believe in himself.
for Chavez, because from a distance you can't see if any or all of
He's
those
starting to
punches
believe
have
that he's
landed.
going to win this fight.
He's standing in the middle of the ring where Taylor wants to fight. He hasn't been able to get him to the ropes, and he's being outpunched 2 or 3 to 1.
And still outpunched to the body as well.
If you've just joined us, you're in the middle of the 9th round of a classic performance by a young fighter on the threshold of greatness. Meldrick
But this
Taylor,
is where I
coming
wanted
into
him to
this
start
bout,
stepping
an underdog
away,
against
Trill.
the unbeaten Julio César Chavez, has completely
Start going back to where he
dominated
was
Chavez with
boxing in
hand
rounds 1, 2,
speed
and 3.
Vicious infighting.
You know what I see now, Jim, the fact that Taylor's
Mia was round
fighting inside.
10 when everything changed.
And few expected that.
I've seen
He's
more
won the
fights
fight
on
at
by
this
Taylor
point.
than I have
See it home.
And the left hook to the body is supposed to be Chavez's great weapon. Taylor landing at will with the left hook inside, Ray. Blood now from Taylor's mouth and nose. But nothing is slowing him down.
The fight is won.
Chavez with the right hand.
Starting to add up these punches on Meldrick Taylor.
To the body by Taylor. And another.
But he's still winning the rounds.
Finally, Richard Steele gives Taylor a serious warning about low blows.
Both guilty of that, to be honest.
It's a test of will as well as skill.
This is the round that everything changed for me.
I see
This
here,
is the big
Taylor
round.
tell me that he will block the left hook to the body with his arm.
There's
He's doing
there's
good
one
job there.
particular punch, isn't there, Trill?
He's carried out George Benton's game plan to perfection.
Whoa, beautiful
Trading
combination.
punches inside, and Chavez again seems to wobble.
I'm at this
as
point
Taylor
going,
lands it
no,
well.
don't do it.
Exactly. Look what Chavez
Brilliant
wanted.
stuff from Meldrick Taylor. Chavez on the verge of going down. Now he's
And he's getting tired. Yep, he's just getting tired.
Incredible fight by Meldrick Taylor. This man is in shape because of the tempo of the fight and the combination he's been throwing.
And Chávez, the great body puncher, is reduced to headhunting.
Big check left foot, big right there.
I'm watching the effects of the punches. When
There's another big right.
He rocks Chávez, but also Chávez is able to rock Taylor.
Blood again from the mouth and the nostrils. Both eyes beginning to close. Chávez is coming on.
Watch the legs of Taylor. They don't seem to be too steady here.
Chávez finally seizing the initiative for the first time. And for the first time, there's a mild air of danger from Meldrick Taylor.
Come on. Right now, it's like who wants it the most.
Well, you can never question Julio César Chávez's desire.
We see two real champions here tonight. The combinations by both.
There it is.
Meldrick Taylor.
Right at the end.
It doesn't get a whole lot better than that, guys.
That was it.
And I was at this point really worried because, you know, he's 23. We're seeing real signs of wear and tear and fatigue in Meldrick Taylor, but that was all due to, you know, his strategy up until that point. If he had just started stepping away, Chávez was too tired to, you know, effectively close the gap he had been in the earlier rounds. He'd done the job by round 9. For me, should taking his foot off the gas, maybe coast around, get some energy back, and he had the skill, the movement to do just that. Modern day boxers would not necessarily take that risk.
Yeah,
today,
none of them will. You'll see them dancing around the ring. They'll skip around the ring. They would not do what Meldrick Taylor is doing. He already had the fight won. He already had the fight win in his trainer, even though DeLuca is Hall of Famer. This is he gave him wrong information in that fight. And you seen your fighter. Both eyes were swelled up. You will see like you got the fight won, son. You got the fight won. Stay away, be smart, and box. Keep your hands up. Don't take no unnecessary shots. You got the fight won, and that's it. But he didn't. Yeah,
he didn't have, Chávez didn't have the energy to effectively cut off the ring in a manner that would, you know, put Meldrick under serious pressure. As you quite correctly said, the job was done. Box smart. But Meldrick Taylor, I was starting to see from back in round 5, the engagement that he was shown. And as I pointed out in round 9 and 10, that he was believing that he was going to not only win, but stop Chávez and be the first man to do that. All these things were probably going through his mind at the time, hence, you know, in the way he performed. But I was starting to really worry at round 10, going into round 11, Trill.
Yes, let's just get right into it.
Handles this, because this is the toughest fight he's ever been in.
The best punch until is the left hook. Look at it, 3-4 left hooks at a time.
As round 11 comes toward a close, Julio César Chávez must begin to contemplate the reality that he's got 3 minutes in which to produce an unlikely knockout, or he will see his streak end before thousands of his countrymen.
The impressive thing, he's still seeing combinations thrown by Meldrick Taylor. Here in the 11th round, incredible.
Again, Taylor showing incredible heart, desire, grit, and that, as yours truly Trey correctly said, that Philadelphia refused to box smart and just go for it. Massive mistake.
As a desperate and determined Julio César
Final round.
Chávez tries to take out a fading,
and you'll notice in the first 2 minutes, Chávez really doesn't look like he's going to do it.
But he's a warrior.
And it's the last 30 seconds of this fight.
Push Chavez out.
That is so telling, and history was changed.
That is a tired Meldrick Taylor slipping.
Over exuberance there.
The aggression be with Chavez. It's more so with Taylor. He's felt like he's behind on points.
Well, they're both tired.
There we go. Oh, big right.
Nobody say he's fighting like he's behind on points.
Oh, that's that big right. Now he's in trouble. That's better. Move away. If he only did that before, but look, he's straight back in. "25 seconds to go." Oh, there's a big right. Comes rushing at him again. What are you doing? Oh, he's down. Now watch. Richard
If he
Steele.
gets up, he probably wins the fight. I can't believe it.
Unbelievable. Richard Steele stopped the fight with fewer than 5 seconds to go. You're going to watch Lou Duva go crazy now. You're going to watch Lou Duva go absolutely berserk.
Lou Duva's running over, going bullshit.
He lost his mind. He lost up. He got up. He got up. That's what a lot of people said. That's what a lot of people felt. That's what a lot of people felt. Like he got up in time. But his arms was on the ropes.
Arms are on the ropes. He's not responding to the referee.
He's not responding to the referee.
Referee Richard Steele says he wasn't aware of the time, how much was left. But in that video clip of the count, you'll see Richard Steele look to the timekeeper twice. Looks back into the eyes of Meldrick Taylor. I quite believe him when he says he didn't know how many seconds were left. And hence the decision that he made. And Richard Steele, after that performance, was vilified by the media and fans for that decision to stop Meldrick Taylor in his finest hour, his finest moment. And that many people will still argue the point today, Trill, who were there, who were convinced Meldrick Taylor would have survived 2 seconds that was left officially, according to the timekeeper afterwards, who confirmed it. Would Chavez have laid a hand on him in 2 seconds? We'll never know. These are the argument points to this debate about Richard Steele's performance in stopping that fight. Many people agreed with him within the industry afterwards, saying, according to Meldrick Taylor's injuries, he had a fractured skull. On top of that, his kidneys were damaged where he was urinating blood after the fight. And it turned out that the ringside doctor had found out that Meldrick Taylor was severely dehydrated, thus causing partial brain damage in this fight. Was Richard Steele right to stop any further action or damage to Meldrick Taylor? That's up for debate. Because many people feel that Meldrick Taylor wouldn't have taken another punch, seen the fight out, seen the bell, and become the new unified champion. But that doesn't change the fact the damage was already done. And I think, personally, Richard Steele should be given a pass for making a mistake. We've seen too many tragedies in boxing. And it was tragic enough what happened to Meldrick Taylor afterwards with his injuries. And yeah, I, for one, think it's just unfortunate that the time was the biggest issue here, rather than saving a boxer's life. What do you think, Joe?
I agree with you, Mr. Neutral, but at first I'm just like everybody else. When I first seen it, and even when you're talking about these injuries, you know, it makes you feel for Meldrick Taylor, like you wish that he got the nod. You wish that he was able to go on for those 2 seconds, seeing that everything that happened to him afterwards, you know what I'm saying, with his injuries and how this fight affected him. You would wish that he was able to get that victory. When I was watching it first, I thought he was robbed. I thought he was, because I was rooting for him. He was the underdog. Yeah. At first, you know, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, everybody was a Chavez fan. It's Chavez. It's Julio César Chávez. He was a bad, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was it. But for the Meldrick Taylor fight, I felt like I rooted. I remember rooting for Meldrick Taylor, wanting him to win this fight. Because I felt like he fought for the little guy. He fought for the underdog, you know what I mean? And I felt like an underdog at that time in my life. So I wanted him to win, and to see that I felt like he was cheated. I felt like he was cheated at the time, you know? I felt like he was, you know, robbed of that moment because he was up on his feet. I didn't know nothing about the sport of boxing, how you had to, you know what I mean? Even
you go on the bare facts that you see as a young man, don't you?
Yeah, I didn't know that. All I knew is that he beat the count. He was up on his feet, and this guy stopped the fight. You know what I'm saying?
What's happening?
That's all.
We all felt that. I mean, I was only 22 myself at the time, and you know, you just think, what have I just watched? I just watched a man getting robbed. But you know, it was, to me, it just looked like one knockdown, and he got straight back up. And he was starting. Richard Steele finished his count, looked at him, asked him twice, you know, no response, waved it off. You know, many people base Richard Steele's correct decision on the fact that the boxer did not respond. Now, you could say 20 seconds to go, 10 seconds to go, 1 second to go, it doesn't matter. If he's unresponsive, he's not in the game. And you can't let a man box on, whether it's 1 second or not. That was what was argued to me by a referee later on about this fight. A lot of people said it was a WBC and Don King rig job. But, you know, the super popular Chavez, he was like a god, like following. 130,000 people went to see him box 3 years later in Mexico. Such was his popularity.
Aztec
you know,
yeah.
It was just amazing.
Yeah, he was. And to go to your point about Richard Steele, we have proof. Look, he is locked in.
Yeah, right in his eyes.
Locked in. He has the better view of Meldrick Taylor than we did.
He's like 6 inches away.
Yeah. Now he's in his face. But let's go back to that fight. Let's go back to that round, that knockdown. Let's see.
That last round.
Because I thought the count was too fast. But you tell me, he still beat the count. But here, let's go.
If he gets up, he probably wins the fight. I can't believe it.
Unbelievable. Richard Steele stopped the fight with fewer than 5 seconds to go. You're going to watch Lou Duva go crazy now. You're going to watch Lou Duva go absolutely.
Yeah. Well, watch that.
If you look at Meldrick, he's still in the same.
Go ahead. I think he's looking at Meldrick Taylor.
Yeah, there he goes down. If you look at Meldrick when he gets up, his facial, his head position does not change.
He probably
fight.
Right. When he's counted out, watch his face. He doesn't know what's going on.
Richard Steele stopped the fight with fewer than 5.
He didn't know what was going on.
He didn't know what was going on. He had no clue whether he was, winning or losing, or even where he was.
Yeah.
So some people will argue that Richard Steele done the right thing on when you're there in the moment and all the rest of it. When you get none of the information afterwards, you just see it for its bare facts that this guy stopped the fight at the count of 10 when there's 2 seconds to go. And for many years before internet come along and where people can share the views that they do today, and it's in real time now, isn't it? For everyone around the world to watch a boxing match and express their views in real time. You didn't have that back in 1990, but if you did, I see that Twitter would have blown up. Such was the controversy of Richard Steele. And Richard Steele, 3 years later, was involved. A year later, was involved in another controversy with Razor Ruddock and Mike Tyson, where he stopped the fight in round 2, and there was near riot, and Richard Steele had to be escorted out of the building and back to his car. So, I think the earlier fights that Richard Steele had, World Championship fights, where he'd let fights go on too long. Probably good examples of that is Zarate and Zamora in 77. I can allude to Aaron Pryor and Alexis Arguello, where he let Arguello take a hell of a beating off Aaron Pryor. Maybe he learned off their fights. Not, as he said afterwards, I was not going to let a man leave that ring dead. No man's life is worth losing. That was his stance, and he stood by it. But maybe it affected him after that because he was starting to stop fights too early. Who knows? But he's been a great servant to the sport of boxing, Richard Steele. Maybe right, he was maybe a bit harshly treated that day.
No, I truly agree with you, Mr. Neutral. You get around, right? You start to get around these fighters, right? And you be around this sport, and you start building relationships with these guys, and you start seeing things, right? You start seeing the wear and tear on these fighters. This was at the time where a lot of fighters wasn't having good futures after boxing. These was the guys that was ending up in the gutters. You know what I'm saying? Some of these guys was ending up addicted to drugs and messed up in the brain and stuff like that through fighting. And Richard Steele was one of those guys that was firsthand and felt like he probably had a hand in some of this damage to these gentlemen. So yeah, you're absolutely right. He did in the later part of his career. He started to stop fights way too early, and the people started thinking, that maybe it was time for him to get out of there. But we've seen the effects of the sport and what it does to people, and he's seen it firsthand. He was in there, and he got a chance to call some of these fights. And like you said before, he's been in there where people have criticized him for letting fights go on a little too much. But now when he stopped the fight where the kid was unresponsive, he didn't know how many say he's in there looking at these gentlemen and refereeing the fight like a real ref is supposed to do. I went back and I showed everybody this picture. I'm gonna play the video one last time because I don't want to take nothing away from the great Julio César Chávez. But if you look at this picture of Richard Steele, he is locked in. When I say he is locked in with Meldrick Taylor, he is locked in with Meldrick Taylor. He's looking in his eyes. Is he okay? His eyes is wide up.
Yeah, Meldrick Taylor's eyes were swollen, shut. One eye was partially open, and Richard Steele was just getting no response. And when put yourself in that position, he's not looking at the clock. He's looking straight in the guy's eyes. He's already finished counting. He's looking at his eyes, and he looked at his eyes for at least 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds. And he went, nah, Nah, you're not even looking at me.
And then
You're out the game.
Yeah, if you go back and you watch this fight, right? And with today and how this whole boxing is nowadays, right? If you go back and you look, this is how he entered the fight.
Yeah.
If you see his face after the fight, it was nowadays the fight would have been stopped way before then.
Way before.
Way before.
Yeah, look at his eyes in that picture there, right? They're virtually shot, you know.
Yeah, if this was today, Mr. Neutral, this fight would have been stopped. And I'm talking about while he was getting off, while he was doing his thing. They would have put him over to the ring physician. They would have seen his face. They would have been like, no, there's no way that we're going to.
Doctors, everything. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was just so sad, you know, because 23, he went into that fight with his whole career in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he come out of that fight, his career ended for me.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning when I was talking, yeah, he went on and to grab another belt a year later.
Yeah.
WBA belt, welterweight belt. He moved up to 148, he grabbed that, but he was not the same fighter. He was a shell of his old self. He lost something in that ring. He lost something in that ring, and I'm gonna go on a little later, but I don't want to keep talking about this as like because how we're talking about it is still like he got robbed. You know what I'm saying? It's not that he got robbed.
Yes.
Because I don't want to take nothing away from the great Julio César Chávez.
You can't, because that between 10 and 12, he was just amazing.
He was getting his butt whooped the whole. Yeah. He couldn't find the answer. He didn't know what was going on. He even said it in the interview. He said at one point he thought he was in there fighting two people. He said he was hitting him with everything.
He nearly gave up. You know
what I'm saying? He was just so fast. He was like, "Did he hit me with that?" He was like, he hit him with 3 shots with one hand at the same time. He was like, he never seen nothing like that. He was like, he's like, he got hit 3 times with the same shot back to back. He couldn't believe it. You know what I'm saying? So he was sitting there, he had to find a way. He didn't give up. He was thinking about, there's no way I could beat this guy. That's what he was thinking.
Yeah.
There's no way. He said, this guy's faster. He's best. He said, I'm hitting this guy with everything I possibly can hit him with, and nothing is not. He was like, he was sitting there, he was taunting me. He was going.
Yeah, you know? I mean, he's talking to him in Spanish. Yeah. He didn't have a clue what he's talking. And do you know what? I feel that was a big thing about Julio César Chávez. The fact that he couldn't speak a lick of English gave him an advantage, because you just didn't know what was going through that man's mind. If you look at Canelo, before he could speak a word of English, he was like, you know, an enigma. You couldn't work him out. Only Floyd Mayweather worked him out. The minute these two gentlemen learned English, their careers went downhill.
They try to get some more. They try to get that crossover money.
As soon as that, the air of invincibility went. You know, oh, you can speak my language now. That's it. I know what's going on in your head, and that I feel that's very true. Because they were forced to sort of learn English. You know, especially Chavez being that to take him on a promo tour and all the rest of it in America. They felt that he had to learn some sort of English. You know. And you know, he went on to 89 and 0 before he lost. He won another 23 fights after that Meldrick Taylor fight. So he just went on from strength to strength. Whereas sadly Meldrick went the other way. You know, the damage had already been done. Regardless if referee had let him go on for another 2 or 3 seconds, maybe Chavez would have knocked him out. Maybe he wouldn't. But if even if Meldrick had won that unification, he was so dehydrated. He had to move up to face Ramos in his next fight at welterweight. He was absolutely drained. Which indicated for me that he was drained going into the fight. at 23, you'd expect, you know, him to be able to cope with that, but no, such was the conditions of that fight, and fighting a man, a machine, a man you just can't hurt, and Chavez coming at you non-stop, and then ultimately he's connecting 10, 11, and 12 rounds, and they're getting more and more, and the damage is piling up internally to his kidneys, to his fractured skull. His face was fractured. He could hardly see out of his eyes. It was an incredible 9 minutes of brutality from Julio César Chávez that will live long in the memory for me.
Yeah, and not only, I think the outcome and the criticism at that time, and then the shock, took away from one of the greatest comebacks.
Yeah.
You know, because he was down on all the scorecard,
yeah,
and he came back in the last round with seconds left.
Yeah.
When
pulled it out.
Yeah, and you can see how, I'm gonna show it again. You can see how the fans responded.
If he gets up, he probably wins the fight. I can't believe it.
Unbelievable. Richard Steele stopped the fight with fewer than 5 seconds to go. You're going to watch Lou Duva go crazy now. You're going to watch Lou Duva go absolutely berserk.
Referee Richard Steele stops the bout at 2 minutes, 58 seconds of the 12th round. The winner and now holder of both the WBC and IBF 140-pound championships from Culiacan, Mexico, Julio César Chávez.
Yes, the great Julio César Chávez, who grew up in a railroad car. That's how he grew up. This is a tough man, come from humble beginnings, you know, to be one of the
Can't get one more humble than that.
They had one of the greatest Mexican boxers of all times. So I don't want anybody to think that we're just sitting here talking about Meldrick Taylor and this is a boo-hoo moment. But no, this is one of the greatest comeback
pound for pound boxers still today. Yeah. If you're talking pound for pound ranks, you cannot talk about pound for pound without mentioning the name Julio César Chávez. It's an impossible conversation otherwise. You know, he went on to win another 23 fights after that Meldrick Taylor fight. Such was his standing, as I said before, and fighting in front of 130,000 people in Monterrey. Come on. He was a god of Mexican boxing. And, you know, Frankie Randall being the first man to ever beat him. What an honor it was for him on a split decision back in mid-90s. So, yeah, a great man, a great performance when, with 30 seconds left in that fight, nobody was giving him a chance. You know, he'd been written off as, you know, he was going down, you know, 10 rounds to 2 in this fight, 10 rounds to 3 at the best. 9-3 at best. Such was, you know, the performance by Meldrick, but it just goes to show you, it goes to the second in boxing, and you've got to see it fight out, and you've got to stand up to whatever comes your way. But if he just boxed smart 3 rounds, we would never have had this Fight Night Chronicles match, because it would have just been another routine champion getting beaten.
Yeah, this was one of those fights. This is a memorable fight, man, and this is everybody. Yeah, this
actually
is
memorable. Sorry, Ring Magazine Fight of the Year, and awarded Ring Magazine Fight of the Decade for the 90s.
It has to be. It was one of those fights that still got people buzzing to this day. When I was telling people that was covering this fight, they was like, "Oh yeah, man, I gotta type in, man, because this was one of those ones." You know what I mean? the last closing remarks, I just wanted to remind people that this episode of Fight Night Chronicles, this is our 5th episode with Julio César Chávez and Meldrick Taylor. If y'all want to catch the other episodes that we have done, you can go check those out right now on the iBoxingHub playlist. They got all 5 episodes up there. Well, this will be up there as soon as we're done. And you can see the first one that we did. That was on the Rumble in the Jungle. Then the second one we did was Michael Moore and Foreman. Then we had Chris Eubank versus Nigel Benn. And the 4th one, what was that 4th one?
George Foreman and Michael Moore. We did that.
What was that?
Eubank, Ben.
Yeah, Eubank and Ben.
What did we do last week?
Y'all gotta tap in with us because
I know I'm trying to run through the 5 day quick here.
We just
been in the jungle. George Foreman, Michael Moore, Chris Eubank. I can't remember. It'll come back to me in a minute. It was a classic anyway. It looks like we've forgotten it. You sure this is no episode 4?
I know, right? Did we time it wrong? Let me go ahead.
What is happening? Why? How could two of us not remember it? Right, hold on a minute.
At the Fight Night Chronicles, you know what we did? We did Tyson. We did Mike
Tyson.
Oh,
Mike Tyson, yes, and Buster Douglas, of course, 1990. And only a month before Meldrick Taylor losing that fight to Chavez. So, yeah, Don King, he scraped by the skin of his teeth with his champion Chavez in this fight. It went down to the last 2 seconds of the fight. I mean, I've never seen it since. I've seen it close, 10 seconds maybe, but 2 seconds, it's got to be one of the most heartbreaking finishes for a boxer ever. How Meldrick Taylor dealt with that mentally after the fight, it would be an interesting story to hear his side of things. I've not actually followed up anything on Meldrick since then about how he feels about that. But I'm sure there's something out there for us to have a look at. But it's so sad.
Yeah, it's so sad because the great like I was saying in the beginning when I was talking, the great Julio César Chávez went on to be a Hall of Famer and a household name and known to be one of the greatest Mexican boxers, if not the greatest Mexican boxer, other than Salvador Sanchez or Saul. People say that he's number one. He went on to get that recognition when a lot of people have forgotten about Meldrick Taylor. Last time, there was something positive where he was at, where people caught it. People didn't say this. They talked about the brain damage and the effects of boxing when they talked about Meldrick Taylor. I know he got into some trouble with the law. He was arrested a couple of times, had some things going on. When people started really talking about the brain damages, it was one of these interviews right here where people was talking about the effects of boxing when they started hearing him speak.
I'm with Meldrick Taylor, 2-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist. I'm excited to just be in your presence. How are you today?
I really appreciate you saying that about me, man. I'm feeling great, feeling wonderful for what's about to take place tonight with the new promotion by Damon Feldman. Champions of tomorrow. I'm looking forward to a good promotion, good fights, for good fight cards. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
That's boxing for you, man.
That's boxing. You can hear his breathing is labored in between his sentences, really catching his breath. The cumulative damage the man suffered over the years. It's sad for me because he was only 23 coming out of that fight. Yes, he went on to fight many more times, but he was never ever that same 23-year-old fantastic pugilist. I use that word with the greatest of respect because no other man since Meldrick Taylor had put a beating on Chavez. Even in his 6 losses, Chavez, he'd never been beaten like that.
You see the class he came up with. This is the class he was in.
Yeah,
Holyfield,
Mark Rylance,
Mark Briggs. If this was a
Floyd,
yeah,
Purnell,
yeah,
great names.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this was one of those episodes, man, and this is a cautionary tale. Let everybody know they don't play boxing, so you got to give it up to these warriors, man. A lot of people like to disrespect these fighters who put their lives on the line and get into the ring. At the end of the day, this sport right here is a dangerous sport. That's why I like to say you don't play boxing. You got to live it. But thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode of Fight Night Chronicles with me and the classy one, Mr. Neutral. Mr. Neutral, what you gotta say to the people?
Thank you very much for joining us tonight with me and the $12 bill, aka the commissioner, the man that really sets the boxing conversation alive with his shows. Make sure you all please like and subscribe to not only iBoxingHub, but also to Red Corner Boxing as well. We do this in conjunction with each other. That's a badge and all that. Just give us a like. It's free and it's painless, you guys. Just give both stations some love and support. We truly appreciate it. And, it just a token of love and respect that we have for the people out there that we do these shows. Just for us nostalgia heads. I think I was once called our nostalgia merchant. That was the one. I'll never forget it. And quite rightly so, because we've lived and seen these fights and old enough to remember what went on. What went on. And just to be alive during these fights is a complete honor. All 5 fights that we've done on Fight Night Chronicles, I've had the pleasure of being alive for and witnessing on television at some point. So yeah, absolutely stoked to yet again, episode 5, Fight Night Chronicles, Meldrick Taylor versus the great Julio César Chávez was highlighted here tonight with my man $12 bill.
That was beautiful, my brother. Much love and respect, everybody. We out of here.
Yeah. Feels good. So, miss.